like people always ask, like, why did you let The Rock abuse you?
Yeah.
And the motivation for me was to always get him to answer my question.
The Rock says, take your finger and put it in your nose.
No,
Stick it in, Hermie!
No!
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.
What's up, everyone? R3 Jonah here with Kevin Kelly at a 90s Wrestling Con. I almost said 80s Wrestling Con because that's coming up too. How have you enjoyed 90s Wrestling Con so far?
It's been so great to meet so many fans from, that such a memorable era of wrestling, and to be able to reconnect with my peers, some of which I haven't seen in 20 years. It's just been a really great experience.
Yeah, and you brought it up, just an incredible era of wrestling that was the 90s. You were there during those Monday Night Wars, Attitude Era. What was that vibe like to be in the wrestling at that time?
Well, when it first started, things looked pretty bleak for, the home team. And as it started to progress, we kept thinking that, well, this episode will be the one to tip the balance. And it took a little longer than we anticipated, just based around the quality of the shows and the way the ratings were moving. But I learned the phrase, ratings move at a glacial pace. So it took a total of 83 weeks for WWF, then WWE, to get back on top, and that was history.
Do you remember what the atmosphere was that night that Mick Foley won the championship and it all shifted?
Again, it was a pre-recorded show. It was a taped show. And the production meeting that day was like no other. It was, the decision was made and we weren't told what was going to happen, but we'll get you the run sheets later on today. The end of the show is going to be spectacular, and we'll tell you all about it later on. Have a good day, everybody. And that was it.
And it was spectacular. I mean, that was awesome. And it shifted everything and to where we really are today in wrestling.
And when you look at how that moment in time sort of, is the time capsule of the 90s of wrestling, with every character and every story that even, with Steve coming back and Steve coming in, and both he and Mick coming from ECW to thwart the evil Vince McMahon, to defeat The Rock, to become the champion. It just had every element, along with a super rabid crowd. I think Providence, Rhode Island was louder than I had ever heard them before. It was perfect.
That's so cool. Well, speaking of someone who lost the title to Mick Foley, The Rock, you did a lot of awesome work with The Rock backstage. There's one of the pictures right there.
Yeah.
You and The Rock. Tell us about working with the great one.
It was always so much fun. And, Dwayne and I worked together in Florida when he was first getting started.
Okay.
That was only one time, but his dad, Rocky Johnson, was wrestling down there. I was ring announcing, just getting my start in my career, and Dwayne came with his dad to a show. So when, poor Rocky Johnson was getting beaten down in the main event, who comes out to make the save? His son.
Yeah.
And we knew that he was going to get into wrestling. Dewey's going to be, my son Dewey's going to be he's going to get in the business.
Yeah.
But none of us had any idea that he would go to the heights that he would become. And I would always joke with him and say, hey, listen, I can get us back in that flea market there outside of Tampa. Just say the word, because
and we're there.
I'm not so sure that this whole WWE thing is working out for you.
That's so funny. Do you have a favorite memory backstage with The Rock? Maybe a favorite promo he did to you?
Oh, there were so many of them, and I can't think of one specifically, but I do know that, like, people always ask, like, why did you let The Rock abuse you?
Yeah. And
the motivation for me was to always get him to answer my question, which he never would, because he would spin it around on me. Let The Rock ask you the question, or shut your mouth, Hermie, or whatever it would be. And that was my whole thing. I wanted to be the serious journalist and ask the question and have him say, well, that's a great question. Let The Rock answer it for you. It just never happened.
Yeah.
So I was you know, it was the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, no, great way to
I'm
describe it.
constantly just trying, and it blows up every single time.
You know, I want to ask you about somebody we're still seeing crush it today that you also got to see when he was kind of in his infancy, Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Tell us about how Michael Cole was in the beginning, and what do you think his like work ethic is that's keeping him on top of the wrestling game right now? Still,
Again, he's what a long and storied career, and he started 1 year after me, and we got to riding together and realized we had a lot in common, and we started to get along. We because there was like a competitiveness between us.
Yeah, of course.
But it just came to be that we got along, and his personality is different than mine. You know, he's real, like he's very intense and very focused. He also has, I wish he could print his notes, because he has the smallest handwriting. Like, he writes like in, I don't know, 2-point font. And I don't know how he reads it. But again, he's able to do his job. He's on top of his game right now. You could just feel the weight of the world off of his shoulders the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And he's free to be the announcer that he has trained to become for all these years. And he's getting his flowers, and they're well deserved.
100%. I want to ask you one more question. We've seen so many, whether it be commentary teams, backstage interviewers, come through wrestling. What do you think that secret is for longevity? We talked about Michael Cole, but like, what do you think for some of the greats we've seen there?
Well, I know that for me, with Steve Corino, that our chemistry came about because we both believed that a great commentary team is born out of just two buddies having a chat, and we happen to be watching wrestling together, and that friendship, that bond that we had because we were similar ages and similar philosophies of wrestling, carried through the broadcast. And I think that's the same with Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Yeah. They were great friends outside of the ring. When people genuinely like each other, then the duo is likable. And you can feel the opposite when it's a little oil and water, and it doesn't always mix.
It shines through maybe a little bit more than it should, on the screen. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. This was awesome.
Jonah, my pleasure.
Up with you, And what can we expect for you in the next few months?
Well, very, very busy right now, gearing up for the first show for Freedom Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
Saturday, August the 9th, Carlisle Expo Center, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It's going to be
not far from here.
No,
New Jersey.
It's going to be a big night of wrestling. I'm promoting it. I should have my head examined. But I'll be losing my mind over the next 3 months, the next 12 weeks or so by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
And the fans are going to have a great time in Carlisle on Saturday, August 9th. FreedomProWrestling.net.
All right. Check it out. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.